Look, folks, when one of these environmentalist, control freak, dirtbag Nazis gets in your face, you should feel sorry for them. Most of them are just like Nazis under Hitler. They think they're doing good. They believe in what they're doing. They don't know that eugenics got caught under Hitler and that it came from the U.S. and England, and that they openly said in the 50s, we're now going to call ourselves environmentalist and transhumanist. They don't know that. They haven't read the Agenda 21 documents. They haven't read the books by the head of UNESCO at the UN, Julian Huxley, brother of Aldous Huxley. They don't understand this program where the globalists study humans and how to control us and how to cut our resources off. They don't know. It's fun to boss people around. They had a big Canadian government study that came out earlier this year that showed you're 6 times more likely to be a criminal if you're an environmentalist. Well, of course, they're a bunch of bossy busybodies that want to get in everybody's business. It's disgusting. In fact, folks won't believe that. Well, you type in, you're 6 times more likely to be a criminal if you're an environmentalist in double-blind studies, because they would do these psychological tests on them. And it was an Enviro group that actually did it. They're control freaks. They're the same group that would have been in the Klan 60 years ago. By the way, it wasn't all white people like Al Gore says that were racist. It was his buddy, big grand wizard Senator Byrd, who was. And folks of that ilk. Most white people, it was white people that stood up against slavery and said no, starting in 1800 with the abolitionist. But he's saying you're a racist if you don't pay him carbon taxes. And the point I'm getting at here is that this is how they try to basically take the moral high ground. And it's these gangs of people. Don't you know the Klan thinks they're in the right, protecting themselves when they do all these horrible things? Same thing with the Greenies. All over Austin, it's well known. If you park an SUV down at Zilker Park, there's just glass all over the ground, and they just key your car, knock your windows out. How do I know? It's happened to us. Doesn't matter if you've got a big family or 5 or 6 people. You got a van, tires are slashed, windows are knocked out. And there's these little trendy, little neo-Nazi hippies just sliming around town. And they're just attacking SUVs at random all over the U.S., burning down car dealerships, burning down houses. They've killed people. They love it. They're a bunch of commie dirtbags. And I got news for them. The big banks setting up the carbon taxes. Ken Lay that developed the carbon tax plan, along with Al Gore, they're never going to give you any of the chicken feed, you dirtbag scum. All right, that's it. I'm shutting up now. It's just the Texas Power Commission has now come out and announced that it is going to massively increase prices, double in the next 3 to 5 years, 30% in the next year, and that there will be rolling blackouts. We now live in a third world country where we got to pay protection money to fat dirtbags. Okay. Let's go ahead and talk to Drew in Houston. Drew, thanks for holding. And then Craig, James, and many others. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
I have to give you honor, man. I'm a Big Ten football player, and God blessed me in a big way. And I'm going to tell you something. This thing that is happening, you awoke me to, man. I was a neocon. I was a Rush Limbaugh. After 2 weeks after 9/11, I called him. I was on his show. I said, we got to nuke every single terrorist. And you know what?
You can't do that. You'd have to nuke the Al-Qaeda that just took over Libya.
Well, you got it, brother. Now I'm smart because of you. Thank you.
No, well, thank you, Drew.
You right now, brother.
No, I appreciate you, Drew. I appreciate you putting up with me. I'm just an angry person that figured out their con games. What do you think of Al Gore saying you're a racist if you don't pay him carbon money?
To breathe? Are you kidding me? What a joke.
You got to pay that fat slob.
You know what I'd like to do, that little boy? I'd like to take his freaking neck and smash it. But I'm not going to be physical. I'm going to be, a nice guy.
Well, here's the thing about Al Gore. He's got giant mansions all over the U.S. That's the thing about the Rothschilds. They've got palaces everywhere. And I'm not against that if they didn't steal the money. They want us to openly pay them a percentage of every kilowatt of power we use, every gallon of gas we use, a direct tax to a bunch of scum. I mean, how dumb do they think we are? And now,
of course. Hey, bro. Let me break this down for you, man. Well, here's my deal. I know how to beat these people. You have got to take out the heart and soul of what they are. You've got to beat them. And my corporate thing was to take down corporations. This is what I did as a living, strategy. But you got to take out the biggest and the baddest, and you boycott them. We're at the bottom of the pyramid, man. You know this.
Well, that's what Max Kaiser says. Hey, I'm all for boycotting Warren Buffett, Al Gore. They're all right up there at the top of this. I'm all for boycotting their organizations. And look, they're in this video clip, I didn't finish the whole thing, they admit they're starting to lose. They're squealing like little pigs, Drew.
I'm here in Houston, brother. I'm a Texas brother with you, man. And I'll tell you something, man. We are global, and we will beat them.
We are going to beat them. We're beating them on the carbon taxes. We're beating them on their gun grabbing. We're beating them on their abortion. The majority of Americans are now against it. We're going to beat them on everything. They want the moral high ground to sit around and boss us around. When they try to boss me around, I get in their face. They want to sit there and henpeck us. It isn't going to happen. America needs to grow the huevos. I'm going to leave it at that. Craig in Wisconsin, good to hear from you, Drew. Craig, you're on the air.
The comments that Gore made about comparing environmentalism to racism is offensive to anybody who's experienced racism, or probably, racist also.
But I want to be clear. This isn't even real environmentalism. That's what I'm saying. Carbon dioxide is the threat? No, there's hundreds of things that if there was serious moves to restrict it, I'd be for it. But that isn't what it is. It's a tax to the scumbag.
And that's the reason I'm calling about the nuclear power plants, and the coverage that you had during the Fukushima disaster was just golden.
Yeah, I got 3 children. I don't want something bad environmental, so I do my homework. And I'm telling you, carbon dioxide that plants are begging for is not the threat. Plus, under this Gore system, it doesn't cut it. It moves it to China and Mexico. So it's nothing but a fraud. I'm sorry. Make your point about Fukushima. I'm going to try to shut up.
Well, your coverage was just, absolutely golden. It covered the topic. You were the only one covering it. And that's the way that the environment actually can be changed by human beings. And also, if you look at things like HAARP and other weather manipulation and modification technology, it could really be an issue because
exactly,
these scientists and others, the policymakers, the bankers, these people in power, they never take the time to actually think about it in a spiritual way. They never reflect on their own conscience. They have no conscience. It's not about the environment for them. It's about money.
It's about a power grab. They use our good environmental concern to take it away, package it, and use it to grab power while the real environmental crises get worse. Great call. More calls straight ahead. Stay with us. I think one reason I've had success over the years is that I am real. What you see is what you get. There's not a bunch of packaging here. There is a lot of preparation. And then I tend to just do the preparation, researching information, and get so angry I just go in there and start screaming. But you need to get angry. We've just got this attitude of, well, that's the government, and they do what they want, and I don't go in government buildings, and I don't confront government. And now you try to go to a government building, and they treat you like you're absolutely, on the bottom of their shoes. And they're not just going to stop where they've left off. They're going to keep going. And special interests are going to come in and grease the skids and have them basically turn you into their slaves. It is so outrageous. It is so crazy to know that plants live off of carbon dioxide, to know that carbon dioxide has been dozens and dozens of times higher than it is now, to have scientists, real scientists, report that plants aren't growing as well because carbon dioxide is so low, and that in different periods when the earth has bloomed is when we have a higher carbon dioxide. And then you see Al Gore's plan. Let's just say carbon dioxide is like nerve gas. It's going to kill you. which it isn't, but let's just say it is, we have the clean systems that release a lot less of it, and then China has completely dirty stacks just shooting pure poison into the air, all the stuff coming out of the coal, the mercury, arsenic, everything, ashes coming down on the cities, like our country had 100 years ago. And when he shuts down our plants, the jobs, the industry just moves there, so it's one world, more stuff goes out. That's what I mean. It's like, and then the big mega corporations, they block new technological developments. I've seen the plans for carburetors in the 70s that got 100 miles to the gallon, General Motors. None of that's allowed to come out. And then you find out big oil's actually behind the carbon tax to shut down coal, because that then will boost the price of oil. I mean, they've got this whole thing figured out. See, coal is something that's not a monopoly. There are hundreds of companies worldwide producing coal, more than 30 big ones here in the U.S. They don't like that. The big barons of control don't like it. And that's why Obama said, I will bankrupt coal. And that's when Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan, who along with Ken Lay wrote up the carbon tax plan back in the mid-90s, they said, that's it, $1 billion, you're in. But it didn't matter. The other little minion was bought and paid for as well. He was calling for carbon taxes. Remember that guy, John McCain? All right, let's go to James, Greg, Joss, Don, Cheryl, Richard, Jody, Dangerous, Richard, and others. James in New Jersey, let's move quick. You're on the air. Thanks for holding.
Thanks for having me. People need to look at the connection between Hollywood and Al Gore. He won the Oscar in 2007 for The Convenient Lie, or whatever that movie was. And, Hollywood is just government propaganda. That's why the Obama administration is approving that Hurt Locker director. She's making the movie about how Osama was killed or whatever. That's why.
They've authorized them to come in and be given national security clearances. And it's come out that that's basically illegal because they're using government assets to do it. But so much of this stuff is government paid for. Right in time for the election that Obama's this big hero with this director.
Right. One of the ways people can counter the racism that people are talking about is actually you did this in a way when you had Prodigy on your show. I know a lot of African Americans. I try to wake up my own community or whatever, but they just believe that this Tea Party, they're all racist because they believe that government propaganda. They believe that Hollywood is the truth and government is everything, but that's not the case. That's why they've been running this psychological warfare on us all week here in Jersey. That hurricane, it wasn't even bad at all. However, they had mandatory evacuations, mandatory curfews. They were flying this insane NWO-looking flag, which was just like pure red, and it just had a little black square in the middle of it. It was just really bizarre, and they had us going on for 24 hours. But
that's a hurricane flag. But yeah, exactly. The point is, any excuse to come in and take control, and thank God it wasn't that bad of a hurricane, or they'd be in there taking guns right now from law-abiding citizens in New York. Thank you so much, James. Great to hear from you. Greg in Kansas, you're on the air.
Yeah, it's good to speak with you, Alex.
Welcome.
I have some news about Fukushima. Basically, it's a website. It's Fukushima-diary.com. It's ran by a man by the name of Yori Mochizuki.
Yeah, well, I've seen his videos. In fact, he was the guy, one of them, that proved that radiation was many times higher than the government said, and now the government's had to resign. In fact, Jaron, that's the guy I want to get on. Give us the website one more time. But, I mean, look, I could see in the first month of it, they wouldn't show any, they would say not reporting on their radiation monitors in the states where it was the worst, Fukushima Prefecture and other areas. And then I noticed our government that had sensors everywhere and its ships had the fleet run 200 miles south. And then the Chinese picked up high radiation. And we knew that there was a cover-up, and now they admit there was a cover-up.
Yes, sir. It's Fukushima-diary.com. And apparently they're playing some games with the food over there. They're like the animals that were living in Fukushima Prefecture, they've shipped them to other neighboring prefectures. And then basically are saying that the origin of that is from those prefectures, not Fukushima.
Yeah, no, that even came out in the Associated Press weeks ago that they're secretly selling the cows and chickens and things that they know are contaminated. I know that's government. Look, corrupt people run for city council. They get elected. They do corrupt things. globalists notice that and then promote them. And the more corrupt you are, the higher you go. Oh, you're for a forced inoculation of a vaccine that's killed people in trials and they can't approve it? Rick Perry, you're going to the White House. You're the only guy we could find to do this? You'll actually take a vaccine that's killing people in the trials and doesn't even protect you from this type of cancer. You'll do that? Well, you're the president then. I mean, as soon as he did that, the Bilderberg Group said, Rick Perry, come to Europe, meet with the world leaders. You're going to be president. You're cold-blooded.